Welcome back to Eat, Read, Sleep. Let's talk about the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. My name is Tapas.
And my name is Kalina. Today we are taking you through a very important book. It's been around for decades and has proven time over time to be the it book. Not just for leaders in the workplace, but for anyone that wants to improve their life.
Awesome. This book is all about our perceptions and how we see the world differently from one another. To change a situation, we need to first change ourselves. And in order to change ourselves, we need to change how we view things. This is what Covey starts the book off with as he goes into the paradigm shift. The paradigm shift means that we have to change ourselves inside out, the core of who we are. We can't just change our attitudes and behaviors on the surface level. And in order to create that shift, we need to lean on the 7 habits of highly effective people.
All right, so the first 3 habits are focused on a private victory. It takes you from being dependent to independent. And the next 3 habits expand to a more public victory. It takes you from independent to interdependent. And this is how you interact with the world and others around you. And the last habit, this ties it all together. It makes it all possible. This is the renewal of yourself. This is the continual self-growth and improvement.
Mind blown. These habits that Covey go through are important because that is what's believed to be the basis of our happiness and success. You can call these habits or you can call them principles. Either way, this is what makes up our character. So what are the 7 habits, you ask? 1. Be proactive. 2. Begin with the end in mind. 3. Put first things first. 4. Think win-win. 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. 6. Synergize. And 7. Sharpen the saw.
All right, so habit 1, being proactive. You are in charge. Whenever there's a stimulus or something that happens, we react. Being proactive means that right before you react, there's a space and time. It's called the gap. And in the gap is how you decide you get to react. Because although we can't always control what happens to us, we can always control how we respond. Now, many people think that their reaction's automatic. They think, oh, that's just who I am. But Covey's here to remind us, nope. You get to decide how you want to be. In this chapter, Covey introduces the circle of influence and the circle of concern. So imagine there's this big circle, and that's the circle of influence. In the circle is the circle of concern. So the circle of concern are things that you worry about. It consumes your thoughts. In the inner circle, your circle of influence, those are things that you can control. You're the boss. So if you allow your circle of concern to be too large, it actually takes up too much space. And what happens is you don't have room or even energy to spend on your circle of influence, the things that you actually can control to improve within your life. So think about this. There are 2 types of people, proactive people and reactive people. Now, proactive people are already doing habit 1. They are driven by their core values. They are carefully selecting their actions based on who they are or who they want to be. They see through situations and they figure out solutions. They are in control. Now, these are the people that spend more time in their circle of impact. And then you have the reactive people. These are the people that depend on others to impact their mood. You know the type, right? They're the victims that, whatever happens to them at work or when someone says something wrong to them, it's someone else's fault. They have no control. Reactive people are driven purely by emotions and circumstances. They succumb to the environment around them. These are the people that say things like, oh, my boss makes me so mad, or my kids drive me crazy, or even, I'm too busy, I don't have time. Ooh, these are all external blames. And these reactive people, they spend way more time in the circle of concern than they do in their circle of influence. So what does that mean? They're actually wasting time complaining or whining about things that they can't control instead of being proactive and improving their life. So take a look at your filter and how you look at the importance of the 2 circles. Shift your mindset and control your response.
All right, habit 2, begin with the end in mind. If you died tomorrow, how would you feel about what people will say at your funeral? Covey says that being self-aware gives you power and control. If you don't live with the end in mind, you're living by the expectations of others. Rescript your life and take out what you don't like. Decide what you want people to say about you at your funeral and take the steps to get there now. Be proactive. Think about the end first.
That's great. So habit 3, It's hard to do habits 1 and 2 without habit 3. Put first things first. Have control over your day and prioritize what is most important, not what is most urgent. Covey says in the book, the key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. Covey helps us see visually with this famous management matrix he has. This matrix is broken down into 4 boxes. So starting in the top left corner and then going clockwise, you have quadrant 1, urgent, important activities. Quadrant 2, not urgent, but important activities. Quadrant 4, not urgent, not important. And quadrant 3, urgent, but not important. So not surprisingly, we spend most of our time in quadrant 3, urgent, but not important. We're here because of the perceived urgencies of others, not our own. Unfortunately, this leads to things like short-term focus, feeling out of control, shallow and broken relationships. So when you find yourself in this box, Covey recommends that you start delegating and learning to say no. The most important box is quadrant 2, not urgent, but very important activities. This is how we become effective at our personal management. What belongs in this box? Things like building relationships, long-term planning, exercising, self-development, all things that we know we need to do, but probably never really spend the time for ourselves. Living in quadrant 2 also means that we're thinking ahead and we're being proactive. This is how you take charge and control your life. The challenge is not to manage time, but to manage ourselves. All right, so the first 3 habits touch base on your personal vision, your personal leadership, your personal management. This is what Covey calls a private victory. You went from depending on others to totally being in control of yourself. But there's another level beyond that that's much more important, and this is the public victory. This is when you are released into the world and you're here to make everyone better off.
So how do we make everyone better off? Habit 4 is all about thinking win-win. Win-win is about everyone winning. T-Pain would be so proud. You win, I win, we all win. Your mindset shifts when you start thinking about everyone's need to benefit. You have what Covey introduces the abundance mentality, the belief that there's plenty out there for everyone. So let's look at the ways of winning. There are 6 total paradigms on how humans see winning. Win-win means everyone's number 1. Win-lose is if I win, you lose. Lose-win is I lose, you win. This is more for someone that's passive, pity, or a loser. Lose-lose is where no one wins. Win and just win is someone with this mentality just doesn't care if the other party wins or loses. They only care about themselves. They're selfish pretty much. Finally, win-win or no deal. This is where the mentality that we all win or there's no winner at all. Covey states in this chapter that to go for win-win, you not only have to be nice, you also have to be courageous.
So habit 5 is seek first to understand, then to be understood. There's 2 parts here. The first part is to understand. And to understand, we really have to listen. Communication is the most important skill in life, right? We spend our waking hours reading, writing, speaking. But how much of our time is actually spent on listening? In order to interact effectively with someone, we have to first empathetically listen and understand them. What does this mean? You actually have to drop what you're doing. You have to face the person and you actually have to listen to their words, not think about what you're going to say next. And the second part of this habit is to be understood. When you're able to present your ideas clearly in a way that others feel valued and feel heard, this greatly increases your credibility. Habit 5 lifts you to greater accuracy, greater integrity, greater presentation, and others will actually see this in you. People will trust that you're genuine, honest, and you want to help them. So a great quote from the book is, seeking to understand requires consideration. Seeking to be understood takes courage. Again, Covey takes us back to that word courage he emphasized from the habit 4 of win-win.
Habit 6 is about synergize. Synergy means the whole is greater than the sum of its part. 2 minds are better than 1. An example given in the book illustrates that when you plant 2 plants close together, their roots will start to commingle and improve the quality of the soil so that the plants will grow better than they would on their own. This habit is important because it allows us to create new ideas and open new possibilities, much more impactful than if we had just done it by ourselves. However, the real purpose of the synergy is to value everyone's differences and perspectives, mental, emotional, and psychological.
All right, guys, so the last habit is Sharpen the Saw. In the book, Covey paints a picture. So imagine you approach a man. He's working feverishly to saw down a tree. He looks exhausted. He complains, "I've been working over 5 hours." You suggest, "Hey, why don't you take a break for a few minutes to sharpen the saw? It could actually help you saw down the tree faster." The man looks at you and screams emphatically, "I don't have time to sharpen the saw. I'm too busy sawing." This habit of sharpening the saw is what makes all the other habits possible. It's renewing the 4 dimensions of your nature, the 4 core things that gives you life: physical, spiritual, mental, and social emotional. This is the process of renewal and improvement. And as we renew ourselves in these 4 areas, it's very, very important to include others and help them see the benefit for themselves. Inspire others to a higher path by showing that we believe in them, that we genuinely want to listen to them, and that we're here to encourage them to be proactive.
And that's it, y'all. Thank you for tuning in to our summary of the 7 Habits of Effective People by Stephen Covey. This book goes itself into many details, stories, examples, and exercises for you to grow and be effective. Pick up a copy today. We have links to the book and Kindle and Audible version below. We'll see you in the next summary episode, though. Subscribe to join our eRead Sleep community. Happy reading, y'all.